Right, okay, enough thinly masked mystery and leaving it for everyone to wonder. I copy Yahtzee. I know it, you know it, we all know it, and now I'm going to shamelessly rip off another thing that he's done and give awards for the quest released this year in RuneScape. You may pelt me with rotten fruit as you will, but on the other hand, if you don't know who Yahtzee is, or if you did not draw any similarities between me and him before this conversation, then it never happened. Well, it's been quite a year as far as quests go in one way or another. This year we've seen the second Grandmaster quest in RuneScape, the beginning of more F2P quests, the beginning and end of an entire quest series, another Grandmaster quest, and the continuation of one of the oldest quest series in the game. Here I'll be giving awards and what I hope will be humorous synopses of each and every quest that I did this year. So first up, easiest quest! Jesus Christ, we ripped off his witty award titles as well. Oh, we are? Right! 2010 has been an undecided year on whether it wants to be incredibly easy or incredibly difficult. What with the two new free quests, it was obvious that they'd both be pieces of piss. The Blood Pact and Gunner's Ground are both easy, there is no denying that, but the thing is, they're not the easiest quests released this year. When I say easy, I'm talking about ability to fuck it up as well as monsters fought. The Blood Pact can conceivably be failed. Kale, Caitlyn or Reese are the easiest quest monsters in the world, but that doesn't mean they can't kill a level 3 who's very badly prepared. Gunnar's Ground, while it doesn't have any monsters to kill, has a simplistic puzzle that allows players to help Dororan complete his poem. It's fairly straightforward, but I spoke to a few people in my clan who found it annoying. This must mean that some people have problems with it, which granted does make them a blundering retard with no appreciation of the arts, but it still means you can have a hard time with it. So which quest was the easiest? The answer came in April with the release of the Buyers and Sellers quest. If you read my text review of it on the RuneScape wiki, you'll know that I didn't like it, but my anger with it goes deeper than I revealed there. The thing about quests in RuneScape is that they're engaging, challenging, and more importantly, not like quests in World of Warcraft! Buyers and Sellers is essentially this. The quest has no requirements, not usually a problem, but this quest opens a guild to the player, and opening a guild with no requirements to enter makes the guild completely pointless. The idea of a guild is that you need to have some kind of skill to enter. The Cook's Guild requires level 32 cooking, the Legends Guild requires you to have killed a horrific black demon 3 times. The Thieves Guild requires level 5 thieving, and Dickface Lightfinger gives you the option to train to that before he even gives you the quest. Does this strike anyone else as a little off? What's more, the quest requires you to do nothing, or at least it requires you to do very little. It gives you all the tools you need, it walks you through it step by step, and everything you have to do is so fucking safe and sound it feels like you're a retard child on his first day of special school. And before everyone goes off on one at me and tells me to do the capers after the quest, I did them and I choose not to comment on them. They're not part of the initial quest and hence they don't belong in a quest review video. If Jagex wanted me to like Buyers and Sellers, then they should have included the capers in the main plot instead of tacking them onto the end as if to say these are the big boys' toys. We'll let you play in the ball pit full of safety nets and shitty dialogue before you can do them. I can't believe I'm lowering myself to this. I used to be original. As updates go in the world of RuneScape, quests are generally the ones that generate the least amount of hatred and bile from the population of the game. Still, they do sometimes manage to offend a few people, and this year I think that the most controversial quest released would have to be Nomad's Requiem. Sure, it didn't give players access to a shiny new untradeable weapon which gives the ability to destroy orphanages consisting of rape babies whose mothers had all been hunted down and honour killed by their Caridian grandparents with a single swing, but it did give major questers something to cut themselves over. For people like me, that is people who are pretty good at solving puzzles and enjoy the storylines of quests but can't fight for shit and have the worst grasp of being good at the game, it seemed like Jagex just leapt down from the top of a tree in my path and slapped me in the face saying, "Hey, you know that quest cape you've been sort of craving and slowly grinding towards these last 2 years? Well, have fun grinding for the next 6, and then flew off with wings made of the skins of dead skillers. If you're going to centre a quest on combat, that's fine, but seriously, don't make the boss the strongest monster ever to exist in RuneScape, and for fuck's sake, don't make it a meaningless peon who serves no purpose in the game other than to oversee a fucking mini-game. I can't wait for the daring follow-up quest where Lanthus from the Castle Wars lobby turns out to be fucking Zamorak himself. Well, it seems ironic giving an award for the least memorable quest of the year because it means I have to remember it, but if I remember correctly, I do not remember the quest rune mechanics very well. It was a pointless quest, one that served so little purpose, very few people even noticed it had been released. I bet even now people watching will be scratching their heads saying, what the shit is he talking about, and looking up the quest to see if I just made it up. Nope, it's out there, though you could be forgiven for thinking otherwise. I think the reason nobody remembers this quest is because it came out the month after Nomad's Requiem and everyone was still getting over that. As for the quest, it was a little fun, but there was no reason for it to have happened, and the reward was about as useful as getting a goblin to use freerice.com. At least, that's the way I remember it. you who watched my Quiet Before the Swarm review, and to a lesser extent my Avoid Dance review, will know that I love the Void Knight quest series. It was genuinely one of the most inventive and creative quest series I've played through in some time, and the minigame Conquest released alongside it was fun. For a while. It was fun until pricks started figuring out that if you just spam champions you can overcome any strategy by being a massive cunt, and hence I stopped playing it, but I was still looking forward to the last part of the series. Until it came out and revealed it was the biggest wank stain since YNAMNE looked in his bathroom mirror with requirements in the 80s, 70s, and for fuck knows what reason a ridiculously difficult boss fight. This was totally uncalled for after the easygoing lightheartedness of Avoid Dance, and it really ruined the series in my eyes. The quest may be fantastically well thought out, challenging and hilarious, but the fact of the matter is that I'm not going to be able to do it for many years, and by that point I will have long forgotten about the goodness of the rest of the series, and I will spit bile into its eyes as I complete it for breaking my heart. Well, I don't think I really need to tell you which one this is, as the award was just made up for the one quest I'm going to talk about. Since there have only been 2 quest series concluded this year, and one of them I've already spoken of, that leaves us with Fairy Tail Part 3, Battle at Orc's Rift, later renamed Fairy Tail Part 3, Orc's Rift, because long titles are for pussies. Let's get one thing straight, the fairy tale quests are shit. Fairies are cool, their quests are shit. And I'll tell you why, too. It's the fucking herblore and farming level requirements. Think of all the skills in RuneScape and pick out 2 of the worst. I can guarantee those 2 are farming and herblore. Unless you're a woman, of course, in which case you love farming. And fuck you, that's not gender stereotyping, it's true. And the fairy tale quests revolve around, you've guessed it, farming and fucking herblore. So it came as a massive shock to me that Fairy Tail Part 3, despite its requirements bordering on the dickish, is actually a really fun, fast-paced, action-packed quest. Am I just saying this because it ends with a one big brawl in which you get to rip the Orc army limb from limb in a very manly way? Yes, I am. That is exactly what I'm doing. This one actually might be a pretty tough one to answer. There are many quests I did this year that I liked, and probably a few that I didn't do but would like. I can hardly talk about them though, so I will have to settle for saying this. The quest I most enjoyed this year, though my review of it has seemingly transcended its corporeal form and can only be seen in that green flash at sunset, is Quiet Before the Swarm. Its perfect balance between backstory, puzzle, humour, and a smidgen of combat and mystery made it one hell of an enjoyable quest, and I don't think there's been a better candidate this year. Avoid Dance was almost as good, but there's something about QBTS that stands out as one of the best examples of RuneScape questing we've ever received. Props to whoever worked on that quest. It's just a shame you then became dead in my eyes. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the award which promises to be the funniest damn thing in this entire review, and possibly this year. I think you all know the answer, some of you have been calling it out all evening. That's right, it's the Worst Quest of the Year award! Did you even have to guess? Okay, so I reviewed this textually back in May, but that is not enough. Not nearly enough. See, the thing about the RuneScape Wiki is, despite it being a really great place with lots of information and backstory, you can't swear. And swearing, I think you'll agree, is the one thing I do best. So prepare for the most sweary rant you have ever heard. Okay, so Elemental Workshop 1 and 2 are puzzle-based quests revolving around getting machines to work in this mysterious old workshop below Sears Village. It's been long disused and everyone who wants to work there is long dead, so there's no chance of any NPC guidance or anything to help you along. This means you have to rely on your own ingenuity in order to complete the quests. Now there's one flaw with Jagex's thinking in making players solve puzzles with their own ingenuity, and that's the fact that their core fanbase is made of blithering retards whose only thought process is where they can get their next max hit to screenshot and masturbate over. And I'm not exempt to this, no. I am myself a fucktard who can't solve puzzles unless he has a friendly guide holding his hand. But fear not, because Jagex have a solution in Elemental Workshop 3. They released a small piece of papyrus giving a diagram of what you have to do. And do you know what happened when they released the quest? The diagram, the only piece of information we had to help us with this fucking cunt of a puzzle, that diagram fucking glitched out and erased half of the diagram, so all we got was a picture of a fucking box and an arrow. And that was not helpful in the fucking slightest. What's more, even with the fucking diagram complete, it gave the shittest advice and effectively just told you to figure it out. In fact, that's what the whole quest did. It gave you a steaming pile of shit on a plate and said, right, on you go, and expected us to what? I don't know, eat our way through the shit to get to a tasty cherry in the middle, except that the tasty cherry was in the form of a body, another addition to the Elemental Workshop Dress Like a Twat collection, an armor set that allows you to, among other things, wear a fucking thong on your head. I can't wait for Elemental 4's fucking cock cock-shaped sword reward. See, the thing about quests is that they have to be varied. Quests which just rely on combat are as bad as quests where there is no combat at all. You need to find the right balance, something which Jagex are usually good at, but apparently they fucked up majorly on this time. Perhaps they gave EW3 to the new guy who really fucking likes slidey puzzles. Well, if you're watching Jagex, you should fire him. He's a fucking dick. You see, I wouldn't mind if the quest just had a sliding puzzle, not at all. I could even get over it if they still had it about 16 times. But the thing is, they should have something else too. The problem with the quest is that all you have to fucking do is the sliding puzzle bullshit. I've actually completed the quest now, and I can tell you that, at least in my opinion, it is not only the worst quest this year, but also the worst fucking quest Jagex has ever released. You can say I'm only saying this because I'm a tard and couldn't do it, but let me tell you this. If I promised you a chocolate, no, not a chocolate, the ability to make a chocolate, and said, sure, you can have this ability to make a chocolate, all you need to do is go through that door into a room with a vicious tiger who's smeared in jam and stinks of shit, have sex with him, then go through a room filled with fiery fire ants, then go through a room filled with fire ants and another shitty tiger, and then you can have the chocolate. Would you agree, even for a quest cape? Because I certainly fucking wouldn't, and if you would, then you are clearly a better man than I am. But at least I don't have fire ants all over my cock and smell of shit.
Lying on anyone, there is the luck.